Okay, hi everyone. This is Suzanne Brothers Varley, and I host the Rich Girl series with you each week. And this particular topic is one that we've had now three sessions on. So, this particular one was your request. So, thank you for requesting it. It is number 118. Can you believe it? 118. And they're all here for you. Yeah, you can get into as many topics as you like. This particular one is really all about in business love languages, building a trust and rapport with clients, with team members, with people that you associate with in and out of work, in church group settings, whatever it is. Because what this is the one thing we all know is that no matter what your relationship is with other people, it is always better when there is trust and rapport, right, you guys, absolutely. So you want to create a really great working environment, and for decades that's exactly what my goal was. So for a long, long time, not only was I a top performer in my company and led my group to the number one position nationwide, but also developed things in people and teams in other countries. And that was no small thing considering that I didn't speak the language. But one of the things that speaks all languages is the language of love and the different way that people can fill up their tanks by feeling appreciated, by feeling accepted, by feeling that they have a place to belong with you and whatever that you are creating. So let's talk about this because this is a big deal, you guys, and especially right now. So, as a leader, and I'm just going to assume that you are working towards a leadership position, you're already in one, or you're in one and you're working to build up other leaders. Okay, I'm assuming that. Is that correct? Okay, I'm with the right group then. So you are always coaching others to become more. You're coaching them to achieve in many more ways than just in business. And you are really praising them for success. So when you're praising people, that is definitely words of affirmation, and you're giving them recognition through that praise. However, there is a warning about this. If you praise people without merit, it will be definitely in vain. And it is a wise person that gives praise when it is deserved. Praise, recognition, all that. Now, if you're giving recognition to be able to gain them to like you better, that is definitely not something I would suggest because that could have fallout moments like crazy. I believe that giving praise and recognition for character is even far better than giving it for accomplishments in many, many cases. So, for example, let's say it's Carol that I'm speaking to. Carol, you went that extra mile with your customer last week. You gave her your time and your talent in helping her with whatever needs she had, and they were many. And then you even stretched her to some new ideas. So, way to see the big picture of service and for making your customer feel and be more satisfied. Okay, I didn't really praise her on the accomplishment or what she sold or what she did was really on her character. When you praise for character, those words, those feelings will absolutely increase. See, these kind of words can be done in person, as you know, with a group or in a note or however you want to deliver them. But mix them up. Let there be a variety of ways that you give praise and recognition. When it's done in a group, as you know, it creates a subtle, if not so subtle, teaching moment. So having the group hear that this person went the extra mile, that she was action oriented, giving and caring of customer service, it teaches and trains people to have the kind of characters for them to be successful also. Never assume that people know this kind of thing. So praising people in an environment like that can be definitely beneficial for everyone. When you use words of affirmation, they are more likely than anything else that you're using, that is your number one form of communication. And I agree, right now, that's kind of where it is at. However, it's not everybody's love language. Now, they may feel good hearing it, but it's not necessarily their number one or even their secondary way that they receive love. But keep in mind that when you are very specific with a compliment or whatever it is that you're saying, that even is more meaningful. If you add the in person, meaning you're with them, contact, gently put a palm on their upper arm, And that's, of course, with a covered sleeve in. I don't really think it's appropriate to touch skin to skin. If you have eye contact, that's another layer. This is powerful and it builds a memory in the receiver's mind, and they will more likely never forget that. And if you could look right now to your past and people who have made a significant difference to you in a very small amount of time, you might say that this is actually one of them as well, right? I thought so. Second. So, what about the opposite sex? Well, as long as you are not controlling, then you don't really have an inappropriateness here. And everybody knows when something's inappropriate. You know, you have your second sense about that. But you also have the ability to add a very positive message to that other human being. I don't think you should avoid them just because they're not of the same sex that you are, but I also think that you just need to be cautious. So let's remember that your words do not have to be long. It could be as simple as a pat on the back and saying, "Hey, Mike, nice job on getting the office open this morning and getting things warmed up." Okay, the tone of your voice must be sincere and honest. If you are not feeling that way, it is most likely going to come across. Yes, even slightly. So, tone in your verbiage is major in this particular language. Okay, now you could add another layer as well. And let's just consider time spent. Another layer with this. This could be when you take a walk and invite the other person to go with you. "Hey, George, come walk with me to the next building. There's some things I'd like to talk to you about." Keep your tone very good and non threatening. When on this walk, add the compliment, maybe a light touch on the back, or better yet, stop. Say what you had planned on saying, stopping, and gently, even just squeeze their hand, just gently, very very quickly. This is seldom taken as an advance because quite frankly, it's not an advance. You have this powerful piece here, time spent added upon words of affirmation. Look at this. You've got a double layer here. Okay. All right. And physical touch. So, all right, there's three of them right there. All right, let's talk about acts of service, you guys. Acts of service. This is one both for both the giver and the receiver. You gain much from this. It's good as it gives a quick boost to your mood. Okay, so let's talk about maybe an example of what does that mean, a boost to your mood? Well, your team members' lives matter. And when you are invested in their lives, it can be a huge thing. Maybe a team member of yours or someone you're associated with in business lives on the other side of town and maybe they've been sick. Why not take a dinner to them? Don't have it delivered, take it. So that's time spent. That's also acts of service. That could also be physical touch. That could also be words of affirmation. Okay, you're getting what I'm hearing here. Now, one of the things that we know that in business is that people have different camps of thought. They also have different camps of who they support in any kind of business, usually. And a lot of times these things are not seen, but they're definitely felt. You know, get a leg up on this. If you're working in any kind of organization and you're giving these types of messages to people, you're also doing this also to raise the level of compliments in your business, raise the level of thinking, raise the level of goodwill towards men, right? Are all human beings, really. So you're exempling the kind of behavior that you want to see more of. And you can start a revolution, a great revolution, just by your example. Okay, so someone has a big success, and maybe at that meeting you're going to offer them just a quick compliment, or maybe they working, uh, take them to an event, give them a quick bite afterwards, you know, whatever it is. It's time spent is huge, and that is a lot of people's particular love language. So this one about time spent, acts of service, and giving a gift, taking them to lunch, all that kind of thing is all done like in one quick movement. That's why I think layering is always good. You will probably not always know what someone's other's love language is, but if you're layering several, well, you're going to hit one of them, or at least the secondary one for sure, right? Okay, acts of service. How can I help? That's really the question here. How can I help? It can be an emotional support. Your presence, of course, is also acts of service, just being around. And then sometimes the nicest thing is to just bring someone some water or something to drink, especially if they didn't ask for it. Is you're looking for someone's needs before they present that need, okay? So that is a great thing. Offering service, not only offering, just give it. Just give that service before they have to ask, okay? So being mindful about acts of service, it's not a trade-off. Okay, you guys, this is not a trade-off. You do something for me, I do something for you. We're trading off here. You know, people can really pick up on that if it is. This acts of service or any of this is unconditional giving. Never ask for anything in return. And let's also add, let's not expect anything in return. Because once your expectations are higher, and you're not getting something back because you expected it, you're going to be disappointed, and soon you'll stop doing these methods that we've been talking about for 3 weeks now, right? Okay, so you're going to gain much, much, much more in the long run. Trust me on that. Rapport. I mean, rapport alone in a group of people who are bonded together and who are kind of like family in the best kind of way. Okay, when I held business meetings, and I did for a couple of decades, I noticed that we had new people that were coming on board, people who'd been in the group for years, and I saw a lack of engagement with each other. And I really want to build teams of teams. And it's important to me that I did something to do this. So I would give people power to lead in small segments and engage them in the teaching process and in the whole process of the 1 or 2 hours that we were together. So, one of the things I'll do is I'll tell you about physical touch. Now, this is going to seem maybe a little odd, so I'm just going to tell you that up front. What I taught them to do was to give each other hugs. Now, that may sound strange, but I'm telling you, it had major payoffs. Major. How do you give a hug? How do you receive a hug? And I was thinking that, okay, people need 10 hugs a day, so I'm going to make sure that when they're in my presence and we're together, we're going to start off everything with everybody 1 minute, give 10 hugs. And they don't just kind of like pat pat pat. No, that's a full on hug. And what I found was, oh my gosh, going to tell you, rapport, sensitivity, bonding, the whole energy of the room just took off before we ever talked about business, before we ever did training. It was magical, you guys. It started a magical transformation. So when people feel loved and accepted, even of others, with this physical touch, it can make all the difference in the world. Now, the question I often get on this one, okay, and I think you might be thinking about it, is what did you do when people really don't like to be touched? Well, I've actually had that happen and I've seen it. They'll just stand back from the group and I will usually go rescue them by talking with them and having good eye contact. But I never shame them for not coming into the group to do the hugs. A lot of times there would be one or maybe two people. But after doing this for a couple of weeks, guess what? You're thinking it, right? They came on board with the same thing. It took them a while, okay, because sometimes they can have early childhood trauma where physical touch really scares them, especially from a stranger. So just respect that space, okay? All right, it doesn't have to be awkward unless you guys make it awkward, and don't. What about physical touch? What about high fives, knuckle bumps, dancing with with your people, toe touching? Okay, any gesture that adds fun and energy is always a good thing with physical touch. People are like babies. They need to feel loved and they need to feel accepted. When you play before you work, it will bring a creative energy and alignment for those who you lead, those who you teach, and both come together. All right? It centers everyone's focus. It centers the focus and also is a great reliever of tension. All right, now with an overload of video, Zooming, conference calls going on, you got to engage a whole lot more with the bonding experience that we're talking about. It's challenging. Yeah, it is challenging, right? Of course. So be sure and tell people, say people's names many, many times on video conferencing. People love to hear their name. Also, have them do many small parts in the program and introduce them with one-liners, okay? So what's a one-liner when you're introducing someone? Maybe it's something like, okay, everybody, you're going to hear from Sally. And wouldn't you all agree that when it comes to product knowledge, she rocks. So bring her on with great cheers. Well, maybe Sally only had a 3-minute presentation on product, but it's the way that you did that. Okay, it's words of affirmation. She heard her name. It was a great way to do that. So don't pull away from recognition in lieu of trying to be productive. Okay, did you hear me on that? Sometimes when you're trying to be productive and you're trying to get through things, you actually will miss the very thing you're trying to achieve. Slow it down a little bit. It's far more better. Probably incorrect English there. It's far better for people to feel loved, accepted, to feel the bonding of the group than it is to get all the business done. Sometimes within our business, we got more done in 5 minutes in business and 40 minutes on people feeling good, because the way people feel about themselves is the way they're going to act in their business. Trust me on that, especially with women. Okay, so I think you've got it right. Handwritten notes, we haven't talked about that, but handwritten notes, especially right now, more than ever before, really adds to people's love tank, helps them feel more worthwhile. Getting cards, writing notes. And this is an area where I got to tell you, I have not been my best. I kind of am really good and then I'm really bad for a long time. But I will say that if I could get a gift inside the note, like a CD, and I know y'all don't do CDs anymore, but I still believe in CDs, or you add a Starbucks card or an Amazon card for $5, that kind of small gesture seriously can go a long, long way. Okay, so today we've talked about the love, filling people's love tank in with all five of them. All right, well, we'll repeat them and then I'll sign off. Okay, all five. Okay, so what are they? Words of affirmation, okay? Physical touch, time spent, okay? Gifts, and acts of service. Okay, you got it, right? You got it. All right, you guys, I hope you loved this. Go back and look at the first two. If you're feeling a little bit confused, I think it'll answer a lot of questions for you today. Thanks for being on The Rich Girl. You can catch this on YouTube under Rich Girl / Suzanne Brothers. They're all there, as well as How You Found Me Today on Facebook. Okay, thanks for being with us. Another great topics next week, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.